Good evening, everybody. My name is Jose Merchan. Thank you for joining us on our second webinar. Today, I am joined by Gustavo Merchan, our Managing Director here at Blazedpath.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining again. I will be chiming in, commenting Jose's presentation. And yeah, thanks for joining again.
Thank you, Gustavo. So on our last webinar, we went over how to set up, how to install the Blazedpath application, the Blazedpath suite. We did a couple of examples to launch a local testing, and we barely talked about how to actually get the full deploy and how to set up the final account on the Blazedpath cloud. So that's our main purpose today. We're going to be validating an account. We are going to create a deploy from a Git server, a Git repository from GitHub, and we are going to create a deploy. And when we are done, I'm going to give you the URL address so you can see that it's actually working and you can start playing with the solution. The solution is one of the examples we have on our tutorials. It's a quizzes games. So we have two portals, one for actually playing the game, and the other portal is to actually admin, and you can see how to add topics, and well, there's a couple of features for the solution. But for this example, let me quickly go over to the other scene. So this is the solution we are going to be using. This is the quizzes game. It has two front ends, has a microservice that connects to a database, and we have a couple of configurations on the environment configuration that are we are going to have to use these configurations on the actual deploy because these are configured on deploy time. So this is what we are going to pull. All this solution is on a Git repository. I don't think we were able to see this Git screen on the last example we did on the other webinar. This Git solution, the link is in the description if you want to pull from it and play with it. So if you want to then follow along, you can do it. So once we have our solution, we want to go to the Blazedpath cloud, log into our account, and start the deploying process. But for that, we have to first validate the account. So that's what we are going to do right now. I'm going to go to the browser, to the blazedpath.com, and I'm going to sign into my account. This is my account. I'm going to sign in, and you are going to come to the four main services of our cloud. These are the documentation, the forums, and the download center are free. You don't have to validate the actual cloud services account. But for what we are going to be doing today, which is actually generating the files for deploy and actually deploy to the cloud, you do have to authenticate the account. So we are going to click on cloud services. And this is basically where you would start inputting your referral codes from an advocator or from a partner. If you do use a referral code from a partner or an advocator, you will have an extra 5,000 credits. You do have 10,000 cloud credits when you authenticate your account.
By the way, you can check out one of our advocators on our blog, I think, or on the newsroom. We have videos from our advocators, so you can check their codes there in their videos. So go check those to get referral codes from any of them. So watch their videos if you can, subscribe to them, and yeah, you can get one of those referral codes from one of the videos you can find on our webpage in the newsroom section.
There we go. Thank you, Gustavo. So I'm going to proceed with the verification, and it will take me to a page to actually add the credit card information. We do ask for the credit card information because you get so many cloud credits with a new account. We use this authentication step to ensure that there's no duplicate accounts. So
we are giving away free cloud credits with each Blazedpath cloud service account. So in order to prevent duplicated accounts, we request a credit card, which is not charged. It's only validated that it's a real credit card, so that when it is time for you to get more cloud credits, you have already the payment method validated.
Perfect. So I am going to actually blur my screen because I'm going to go through the whole process with you. Just let me switch so you can't see the information. Let me quickly input the information on the page. There we go. Now I'm going to click on validate your identity and save the card to the wallet.
With the credit card information, we require the address, a valid address, just to know where you're from for other, charging purposes and whatnot. And it helps us also understand where we are getting the service used from. It's also frequently part of the credit card information to validate it.
There we go. I'm finally done. Let me switch back and blur the screen. So right now I am going to come again to the cloud service, click in there, and it's going to take me to my working account. So in here you can see a lot of information. You can see the 10,000 credits we were talking about. You can see the card to purchase additional credits, which we can. You want to go over this now, Gustavo? If we click on the card, you see that you can buy more credits. The minimum payment.
Yeah. So we get for each account we offer a free cloud credit pack that you can use basically to run builds and deploy operations. Each time you will get a usage charge on your cloud credits, your available cloud credits. When you run out of them or when you're ready to get more, you can just get credit packs. And we currently offer a pay-as-you-go model, so you just buy them when you need them. There's no subscription for the time being. We'll get back to that later, but basically we are planning on offering subscriptions, but all the subscribers all the users that sign up for Blazedpath during this period until we release probably the next two versions of Blazedpath, we will never force them to subscribe. So we'll allow users to stay in a pay-as-you-go model, so they will just be paying for what they use, and no recurrent subscriptions for a service that they may not be using much. So we have a small, a medium, and a large credit pack, and those are available. You see, as you use Blazedpath, we get a usage cost on our infrastructure, and we transfer that to our users, our customers. Yeah.
Yeah, you will see that with the 10 original 10,000 credits, it's enough to do all your testings, all your validations, multiple deploys. So you'll see that it's enough to make sure you can really use this service.
Yeah, we estimated that with the initial cloud credit packs, you are able to run, depending on the size of the application, we'll see how that works, because it's based on the megabyte from the generated deploy package, but it's roughly 10 10 good runs and deploys, you'll be able to do that for free with Blazedpath, and then you see that it's very inexpensive to do additional ones when you do the conversion between cloud credits and dollars. Yeah.
There you go. So let's start doing the actual deploy so we can see the whole process. The first step is to create a link to the Git repository. We are going to be using the Git URL address. Again, the link is in the description if any of you want to follow along later on or now. So I'm just going to copy the Git URL, and on the repository part of the menu that it's here on the left, I'm going to create new. At the URL, it's github.com, username, the git repository.git. I'm not going, this is a public repo, so I'm not going to be using any user password just for this example. So if I go back to repositories, you can see that's already added. The next step, because you have multiple environments, I have to make sure that my environment is up and running, because by default I have the development environment and it's currently running actually right now. So if you click on the 100% here, you can see that you can customize what times is it going to be up, and you can actually turn it off just by out-clicking everything away. So you can make sure that it's not using any credits if you are not using currently the cloud. So I'm just going to click everything right now so I can do the test. Click on OK.
Let me also explain that with Blazedpath, you can deploy Blazedpath applications on Blazedpath Cloud, on an environment that's running on Blazedpath Cloud, right? So, of course, depending on the size of the environment and the uptime, the running time of the environment, you'll get a cloud credit charge, a periodical cloud credit charge. And you can control the uptime or availability. Usually our users, rely on these environments for development purposes, for testing validation purposes. You can use them for production as a production environment. Normally our customers don't choose it. They rather deploy on third-party clouds, and we are going to explain how currently that is available. That's possible to deploy on third-party like Google Cloud or Amazon Cloud or Amazon Web Services, or any other that runs that can run Kubernetes and Dockers and those cloud-native architectures. We'll explain that later, but basically this is how you configure an environment that runs on Blazedpath.
There you go. So our last step on this environment is to create a database, because our solution is, if you can see on the infrastructure, on the architecture diagram, it has a database. So I have to make sure I have a schema on the Blazedpath cloud. So on the environments, on development, I'm going to go to relational databases and click on the plus sign here to create a database, and I'm going to name it webinar 02. Click on OK. Give it a second so it creates the schema. There you go, it's done. So my next step is to go to the pipelines. The pipelines are the steps you want your execution to take, so you can actually build a solution, generate your zip files, the images, the Dockers, the Kubernetes, and you can choose what branch of Git you want to pull to actually do the deploy. We are going to use the main branch today, but if you want to, let's say, use a branch called development, this is where you would do it on the pipelines. So we are going to create a new one, so you can see you have two pipelines that are pre-built for you if you want to use those, but we are going to create one from scratch so you can see how the process goes. So I'm going to create a new branch, and I'm going to call it GitHub from main, build, and deploy.
Sorry, a new pipeline, you said you're going to
Yes.
create a new pipeline. Yeah.
I'm going to create a new pipeline. So I'm going to add the first step, and the first step is going to be a build, and the build is going to be on the branch name main. My next step is going to be a deploy, so I'm going to actually select deploy, and it's going to be on the environment development. That's the one I just configured. Click on OK. And that should be it to start the deploying process. If I go back to the pipeline, I can see that my pipeline GitHub from main build and deploy is already created. You can customize it later if you want to add steps, remove steps, switch the branch or whatever. So right now I'm just going to go to the executions. I'm going to start the deploy environment, and then we will see how it goes, what's generated, the zip files, and some information about the file sizes. So start execution, and this is going to execute from the webinar 2, and it's going to use the pipeline GitHub from main from build and deploy. Click OK, and it's going to start the execution. So this execution creates the zip files with all the human readable open files. We are not locking anything. It's not minimified. It's not obfuscated. You will see that when we download the file and we extract it, it's going to have, you can read all the code with no problem. We are also generating the Kubernetes and the Docker images. The instructions to download and push and pull the Docker images are on the zip files. There's a README files that we are going to see later on. We have all the instructions there, and the Kubernetes are also going to be accessible from here.
Yeah, so this is where, although you're able to create applications on Blazedpath Studio, you configure your entire project while synchronizing to an actual Git repository. The actual build of the source code and of the deploy packages happen on Blazedpath Cloud. This is why you need both the suite installed to work and create your projects, and of course the cloud services account to run builds through a pipeline, right? That takes your project repository, passes through a pipeline, executes the builds and the deploy, and then you can either choose where to deploy it, right? So you can deploy on Blazedpath Cloud, or you can get your deploy package currently, download it, and deploy it somewhere else. Optionally, we'll see that you are able also to skip this manual interface and expose an API, right? With an API key, you can call build and execution tasks. So you can call pipeline executions through an external CI/CD or DevOps tool like Jenkins, for example, where in one of those steps, Jenkins can call Blazedpath Cloud through an API, skipping this manual operations, and automatically request on demand a build and deploy that returns the deploy package, so we can take it, so Jenkins can take it and continue running a pipeline.
So these actual Kubernetes and Docker files, since you can do multiple executions of this build and deploy, it's going to store all the images on the cloud. So those images, we do have a charge for, I think it's megabytes per, there's a certain amount of credits per megabytes. So if you run multiple images on the cloud, you should then go to builds and remove any images you don't want to keep, since you can always go back through Git and through a past point and recreate those images, so you don't have to have the recurring cost on the cloud.
Right. So every time you generate a build, Blazedpath will store that build. So if you're continuously building and deploying, Blazedpath will store all those deploy packages, the history of those packages. It will not override or it will keep the history of all the past history packages, right? So deploy packages. So remember to, purge and delete the ones that you are not using, and keep the last two, for example, because Blazedpath also charges a small fee, a small cloud credit amount for the size of the package in time. So I think it's by hour or per day. You can check the applicable rates on our pricing page on the website. It's Blazedpath, I think, pricing. Blazedpath.com/pricing.
Perfect. So right now I am done with the build and I have to actually finish the deploy. So since all of the configurable items from the environment on the solution, these ones that we went over when we started, all these parameters have to be set up. So since there are a couple of parameters that are not set up by default, I have this user action step that is to configure the deploy. So I'm going to click in there and I have a lot of information that has to be defined here. So our first parameter we have to define is the subdomain of each of the front ends. This subdomain is going to be part of the URL. The URL will have this subdomain you are defining right now, your user account and your environment configuration. So I'm going to quickly go and add some of these subdomains. This is going to be admin quiz.
These are the initial parameters to set up environments on Blazedpath. Once you have set up those parameters for those environments, then the next times you run a build and a deploy, it will not ask for those.
So my second front end is quizzes game, and I have some configurable parameters. This is one correct answer, only wait for 1,000 milliseconds. On an incorrect answer, wait for 3,000 milliseconds, which translates to 3 seconds. So this is going to be on the admin page. Just keep 3 max rankings per topic. And on the total rounds per game, I'm going to make very quick games of only 2 questions each. And as for the relational database, I'm going to choose the one we just created on the first step. And since everything is now configured, I'm just going to click on resume execution and wait until the finish of the deploy so we can see the end results. If you click on the execution itself, you will see a timeline of all the steps it's taking, the date and time. And since we are already done with the build, you can see that on the outputs you have build 1 in here. You can already download the zip files to actually check and maybe download the Docker images later on using the instructions. So I'm going to actually download the file right now so we can actually see it, called build webinar 02. Wait for the virus check of Microsoft. There we go. So this is the zip file. If I extract it on a folder and extract it to a folder called build webinar 2, it's going to have, well, this is the name of the solution, quizzes, and in here you have the README file, you have the YAML file for the packages, and if you open the README file, you will, let me pull up the notepad in here, you will find all the instructions to pull up the Docker images, and if you want to start the YAML, the local server, you have also the instructions here, so you have everything you need in order to start your server. So the source code is human readable. If I go to any file in here, just click on open in Notepad, there we go. You can see that everything is very human readable, there's no obfuscation, and you can actually do the obfuscation later on if you want to protect your code. So let me go back to the executions so you can see we are already done with the deploy. And as you can see, it's already done, it's a success. We're going to go back inside and you can see already that we have the 2 front ends with the URL for the 2 front ends. So this one is the one that starts, no, this one is the one that's the admin for the game. It has the subdomain we talked about. the development name, environment, and information on your account, and the blazepath.com at the end. So again, come in here and play and do whatever you want to do to review the application. And you also have the Kubernetes file to download and deploy it wherever you want. So let's go back to the usage, so you can see how many credits we used for this test. So we started out with 10,000 credits, and the build and the deploy took 1,600 credits, so 800 and 800. So you can see that with the new account, you can do pretty much a couple of the build and deploys before you actually start using for a commercial purpose, and you have to buy additional credits. Keep in mind that the actual development is always done on the local studio, and you have no limit to how many of these memory tests you can do. You can do as many as you need. This is local, this is not charged, there is no telemetry here. It's completely free, and it's very quick because it's on your own local computer. Am I missing something, Gustavo?
You pretty much covered it.
Okay, we have a couple of minutes. I think we have 5 more minutes for questions. If there is any question on the chat, let me switch to the Q&A. There you go. I see a question from Marcela. I have one question. So I can deploy my application in Google Cloud. Do you want to take this one, Gustavo?
Sure. Yes, you can. Actually, you need to download the deploy package and deploy it manually on Blazedpath. On Google Cloud, for example. That's how it's currently done. In upcoming versions, but also currently, you can set up, like I said, a Jenkins pipeline, where in one of those steps you can call Blazedpath build and deploy execution. So Blazedpath will return that deploy package, so Jenkins can continue to take it from there and deploy in Blazedpath on Google Cloud. In the future, in the short future, actually in the next version we release, which will going to be the next month, you will be able to run Blazedpath deploys on third-party clouds like Google Cloud or Amazon AWS automatically or directly from Blazedpath Cloud.
Perfect. There's another question here from Lucia. Hey, it says, hey, can I use Blazedpath without using my credit card? Yes, you can use Blazedpath for educational purposes. You can download the suite, make as many tests as you want. You can do pretty much anything on your local machine, but whenever you actually do want to create a build to deploy it somewhere on a server that's public, that's in production, you will have to use your credit card to authenticate your account.
Except if she's part of a larger team, she can download Blazedpath and collaborate in the same project that her team is working on, but one of the team members need to have a cloud service account to actually run build and deploys on those projects that they're working. So for example, if there are 5, one of them needs to have, at least one of them needs to have a Blazedpath cloud service account. But it's not that the 5 of them need to put a credit card. You just need one to run builds and deploy on their projects if they're working on the same projects.
Yeah, I manage through Git all of the collaboration between the team. Yeah. I think we can do one more before we finish. It says from Danila, hi, can I have multiple users using Blazedpath Suite with just one Blazedpath cloud account?
Right. So when, like we were explaining, the idea is that, you can have a corporate account that you need to contact us for, so we can set it up. And identify, you'll tell us which users on Blazedpath need to be on that corporate account. We'll set it up for you. And in that regard, in that case, all of them will have the same cloud service account linked with a single credit card. But for now, for the time being, you just write an email to us and we'll set it up for you very shortly.
Perfect.
Also, we can set up, if you're interested in partnering with Blazedpath, we also have partner accounts, which have even discounted cloud service rates. And also there's an incentive there for partners. We have a partner program in place, so please make sure to contact us to set it up and explain it to you. And yeah, that's the other type of account we can set up for you.
Perfect. Thank you, Gustavo. Well, I think we can close for today. Just a quick reminder, we are giving away 5,000 cloud credits for anyone who registers today and validates the account in the next 24 hours. We have a link in the description. This 5,000 credits is for participating in the webinar. So if you do validate your account in the next 24 hours, you may want to also register on the link and take advantage of the credits.
Yeah, we're giving away those for free, just as courtesy for participating. They are good for maybe other, 3 or 4 or 5 builds and deploys, so you can test and play with Blazedpath, demonstrate it to your peers, to whoever may be interested on it. And yeah, but remember to register so we know that you actually participated. And you can find that registration page on our website in the webinar section. I think it's resources, webinars, and also here there should be a link in the description of this live.
Thank you everybody for joining us. Keep us posted on the forums if you have any questions, any request for an upcoming webinars. We are thinking of doing a recap of some of the most important Blazedpath features of the suite that can actually create very complex enterprise-grade applications very quickly. So if you have any questions or any requests, please go to the forums. We are looking at them pretty regularly. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get all these webinars notified.
Yeah, thanks for attending, everyone. And until next time, stay tuned. We'll be seeing you in the next one.
Thank you.